Hello and welcome to my podcast of print. I'm Mia Cornell and thank you for tuning into this episode. Now, the topic I've chosen to explore within the print industry today is the concept of sustainability. Sustainability is a practice that's gained more and more popularity as we as society are becoming more aware of our impact on the environment. In simple terms, environmental sustainability is the practice of responsibly managing natural resources, ensuring that they will be available for future generations of people. It's a game of balancing needs of the present with long-term health and care for the planet. The print industry didn't have the best start in terms of being environmentally friendly. The concept of sustainability movements didn't even emerge until the early 1970s, which was long after the creation of the first printing press. Being environmentally friendly became more relevant after World War II, when people began to question air quality and chemicals, but also realized slowly that over the next few decades, there could be concerns with plastics, fossil fuels, and other ozone-altering materials. The 1970 was when the first Earth Day occurred, and environmental awareness really grew and spiraled from there. Print, typically, other than the machine being used itself, has two components that are necessary for each job: paper and ink. Both of the essential materials are not necessarily environmentally friendly. Let's start with paper. It's made, in short, by removing bark from trees, chopping wood into tiny chips and mixing them with water. Then various different toxic chemicals are added to speed up the process and help the pulp fibers stick together into a pulp. And then after that, the water is squeezed out and left to dry and potentially dye into different colors. For this process, we can gather that paper is mainly using trees, which are important to our earth. When paper is produced in extreme masses, trees are often cut down faster than they can grow, which leads to deforestation. Ink has also been a problem in the world of sustainability. We'll take lithography ink, for example. The ink is traditionally associated with chemical waste. In the past, this ink was made with a petroleum base. To obtain petroleum has to be extracted through drilling in the ground. Due to the fact that it's a fossil fuel, and extracting it and using it is a risk to the environment around us, as it'll pollute the air and serves as a health and environment hazard. Now you may be thinking, if traditional printing with inks and paper and presses consume energy and are seemingly bad for the environment, why not make the switch to digital? To quickly summarize, digital printing is a way of printing that relies on electronic files and digital color production, which means no need for plate making and less paper wasted. The ink used is also water-based, which is a lot safer than petroleum-based ink. This sounds great, but digital printing consumes a significant amount of energy as printers, servers, computers all need electricity to run. Also, even though technology like this is advancing quickly, it's not as efficient when it comes to high volume and long-run printing jobs, which means the digital printers are running for longer times and using more energy to produce the same output as other printers. So the question remains, if both forms of printing are bad, which one should we continue to use? Well, that really depends on what you're making. If you're creating a poster that only needs to be printed a couple times, digital printing is quick and although uses energy, wastes no paper and ink. On the other hand, if you have a big job that needs to be printed hundreds of times, it might be best to use offset lithography or other methods. It's clear as day that there are many ways of printing and they're not all perfect, but over the years, it has been a more popularized effort to improve printing in this way that is sustainable. Here's a few different ways that the print industry has started to implement changes and their impact. Firstly, back to paper, as I mentioned, negatively impacts the environment as massive trees are needed and harsh chemicals are used. So many companies have changed out their chemical solutions to be a bit more eco-friendly as a way to help reduce carbon emissions and be overall more sustainable. Additionally, paper is also recyclable. Although the concept of recycling is old, starting to gain traction in the 1970s, the idea of reusing materials to create new ones is a phenomenon that has grown and become more mainstream in the past few decades. Paper is easily recyclable, and it just needs to be shredded and created into a new pulp that is ready to be dyed and re-dried again. Making sure paper ends up in the blue bin is a practice that is more normalized now. Many companies are looking into the benefits of recycling. An example of this is the ACS Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering website, who say, furthermore, waste paper pulping is recommended technology due to its characteristic of resource regeneration. Recent years, the proportion of waste pulp and paper making raw materials have been continuously increasing under the advocacy of garbage classification and resource cycling. It's by Hankyu in 2024. Now, let's move on to how ink has developed. As I mentioned, lithography ink is made using petroleum. Typical ingredients are also pigments, color, bindings, solvents, and other additives. Due to the impact of petroleum on the environment, ink companies have made the change to exclude this ingredient and replace it with eco-friendly options. Some companies have even started using vegetable-based inks. These changes that are being implemented are fantastic. Even the smallest of changes can make a difference when it comes to creating sustainable practices. Outside of just paper and ink, there are other sustainable options, such as creating offset lithography printers that recycle the water that they use, relying on green energy to run digital printers, and using repurposable materials when possible, and much more. While right now our methods of printing in the industry aren't perfect, there is an effort, and professionals in the industry have recognized this, and hopefully over time this concept will continue to grow. Especially with the constant growth of technology, we can hope that one day this industry will be able to be even more sustainable than it is now. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you really learned lots about how to be sustainable in the industry. Please try and implement as much of this you can in your practice. This is Mia Cornelius signing off. Have a lovely day and happy printing.